What's up, baby?
My man,
We're back.
what's going on? We're back.
Full fueled. Getting into episode 1 here, brother.
Is it like full fueled? Or like, we getting aggressive?
I'm trying to live my life full fueled.
Oh, I like that.
Play on fulfilled, you know?
Yeah,
it's a fulfilling life, but everything I'm doing is fueling me, right?
That's right.
What I put into my body. The exercise I do is actually fueling me with happy chemicals, right? All of it, man.
Love that.
Fuel. Yeah.
What are we tapping into today?
Man, today, season 1, episode 1, we're gonna tap into the crisis that I call American food, and basically like what's going on in this country, man, with the way that these foods that are marketed to people, even like health foods that are not really health foods, and we touched on this in the last episode, but these hyper palatable foods that are just shoved into people's face over and over, and then man, once you try it, the response in your brain, the dopamine that's released, that like addictive feeling is what they want, right? They want you to come back and to buy more, and ultimately, I mean, you can get into conspiracy theories all you want, and I can go with the best of them on conspiracies, but it's to keep people living just like kind of at this like basic level, not really thriving, right?
Yeah.
Because what's a controllable like person, right? Somebody who's just kind of like there.
Yeah, right.
Somebody whose brain is optimized and is thinking well for themselves is going to be harder for you to control.
Yeah,
they're going to be outliers, right? So, yeah, that's what we're going to get into, man. Is this American food kind of like epidemic of just toxins, right, that are just pushed into our society. And I have some points we're going to touch on, but one is like that leads to just these alarming rates of obesity in this country, bro. I think it's 60% of people now are considered overweight or obese. That's insane. That's a majority.
It's insane. Yeah. You know what's wild though to think about, and we have a growing population. I had an argument that I had to I was like, man, I actually do agree with you. So I thought I was kind of arguing with my father-in-law that we have a more sedentary lifestyle. Like more people have sedentary lifestyles. He gave me his argument, and I tend to think that that's actually not true. And the reason why I think that, right, is that I think people are like we live like somewhat active lifestyles. People are busier now more than they've ever been. We're more efficient than we've ever been. Like we have to think of it that way, right? Technology has made us more efficient. We are constantly moving individuals. But the one thing we're tapping into is what they are stuffing their freaking faces with.
That's right. Yeah.
Full of refined sugars. Yeah. And it doesn't even have to be refined sugars. Now they're putting cane sugar on there, which is like,
it's healthier.
It's healthier. Organic cane sugar. Wow. It's like,
there's still 50 grams of sugar in that freaking thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, dude, how do you get away with it? And then also which I know we're going to go down rabbit holes here with nutrition, right, but like the fentanyl of all sugar, sucralose, right, is like, do you look at it? It's like literally a fentanyl of sugar. Like you just put a touch in it and it explodes something with sweetness to get you to come back again and again.
That's right.
And again.
And that was developed by food scientists who said, how do we get people hooked on this product? Because that's the business model.
Right.
A never-ending customer who's just going to constantly buy your stuff, right? So how do we get them addicted to our stuff that they're going to just continue to come back?
Just over and over and over again. But I don't know if we had planned on kind of going in this direction this quick, but, with that food addiction, so like everyone that comes out with a product, I came out with a product, but one thing that we weren't willing to do was to be like, hey, we're making this so sweet that like people are absolutely going to be addicted to it. Like we wanted to have whole just ingredients. I realized that ultra processed foods are not necessarily the best, but sometimes they're needed, right? In terms of like activation of like, hey, carbohydrates, getting into something that's quick if you're going into a long distance run, bike ride, whatever it might be, right? Quick carbohydrates are good at times. However, I even find myself doing this all the time, like snacking and not snacking on whole foods. So, and it's like kind of a house divided because my wife buys our kids like processed foods, and they have these things called dwarf starch that is in friggin' literally everything across the board. It's all in our breads that create bad gut bacteria. It is in all like friggin' pepperidge farms.
Oh yeah.
Goldfish, which I love, dude. I freaking smash on those things, right?
Yeah.
Pretzels, anything, right? Is starch. You'll find starch, dwarf starch. That's fake starch. Like it's like literally.
Where's that made?
Starch.
Yeah.
It's enhanced, genetically modified starch.
Yeah.
Actually, Mark Hyman, he talks quite a bit about this. But two things that like I focus on now is reducing the amount of refined sugars that I have in my diet. Right? Made a massive impact, right? You were talking about thyroid being a major thing. It's a precursor for like slowing down your thyroid, right?
Yeah.
And then the other thing is refined sugars or sugars in general, right? The more sugars you put, if they aren't coming from a whole food source, are naturally going to pack on weight.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, Mark Hyman, great book, Forever Young. We can tap that into the show notes, but
yeah,
it's real good stuff.
Yeah, go share that one with me. Yeah, because I know who he is, but I haven't read that book. And yeah, man, it's like if you're putting more fuel into your body, right? Going back to our pillar here,
yeah,
more fuel and not using it, because that's what food is, right? Food is fuel. Right?
100%.
It's meant to get us. It's meant for our brains to operate, for obviously every cell in our body to operate. It comprises us, right? Our body takes in that food, that fuel, breaks it down into little pieces, and builds you, right? So like if you were to take your entire your body over 120 days, basically 70% of your body's gonna be different, right? Mm-hmm. It's changing over. Everything's changing over. That's what keeps us alive and not just dying, right? We'd be dead. But now if you're making your body up of this fake stuff, your body has no idea what this is, right? It's gonna have effects, right? Yeah. It's gonna cause you to feel sluggish. People get brain fog from being overly addicted to these sugars and processed carbs like we were talking about. Yeah. But yeah, man, that topic of like kids food, I have that written down as something I wanted to talk on because man, that's where it starts, right? Like we grew up, especially you and I, like what 90s, 80s, 90s, right? Like that. There wasn't a lot of like stuff out there on the health of this stuff. Now we all know it. So it's like there are the organic gummy bears and the organic freaking
but not really though. Not
that's
everyone.
Right.
Like I mean, this is I feel like especially root cause type stuff. Yeah. Very early in the introduction that people are becoming more aware of like why have I packed on 50 to 60 pounds when I'm in my 50s and 60s, right? Yeah. Why is that? Right? I'm running around all over the place. I exercise here and there. It's not because I'm like just sitting around all the time. Right. No, it's because of the food you put in your bodies. Like you can actually do something about that. Now, exercise is a major pillar that we're going to hit on, but 100%. Food's a major thing.
Well, we're starting with it. It's one of the most important. I mean, it's abs are made in the kitchen. Is a thing. People say that for a reason, right? Yeah. You can do all the crunches you want. Go do 1,000 crunches. If you're eating like crap, man, you're not going to have six pack, right? That's just how it is.
Case in point for me, dude. I was working out pretty hard. Dang, man, what's going on?
Where is it?
Where is it? Why am I working at like can't see it? Something's underneath there.
We're talking about your six pack, right?
Yeah, six pack. Right? But it was 100%. It was 100% nutrition and caloric restriction. So
that's right. Yeah.
I mean, there was a focus to that. I was eating a lot, but at the end of the day, it was being more focused on honestly those two things, starches and refined sugars.
And it's like when you switch from those hyper palatable processed foods, man, you can't eat as much as you think, right? Like people are eating, you could eat a whole box of cereal, bag of goldfish, because there's no substance to that, right? Yep. It's just sugar and carbs and just fake stuff, colors. Right. If you go try to eat an entire steak and then a bunch of like vegetables and these roots and these healthy kind of whole foods, right? Yeah. You cannot eat that much. Yeah. Right? You're going to get full. And that's your body's built in like fail safe to like let me not overeat. Right. Yeah. So these foods that are just so delicious and tasting and genetically like processed to be that are easy to eat a lot of. Exactly. And that's what causes you to be then overfueled. You're not burning that. Yeah. Your body has to do something with it. So it converts it into stored adipose tissue, and it's basically your body's mechanism of saying, hey, let me save this for a rainy day. Yeah. Right? When I need this fuel. But then you're constantly overfueling. It's like that just becomes now you got this overabundance. Kind of, exactly. Overabundance is a good term.
And so the adipose tissue, for for the viewership, that's blue fat, which is like your bad fat.
Yeah, white fat. Yeah,
white fat. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So that's if you were to like pinch your stomach or your love handles, that's what that is, right?
Yeah.
It's just deposited areas. And those areas are just the most commonly because that's it. There's not a lot of stress on that area. You're not moving your stomach around a lot.
Yeah.
Right? Our arms and legs are moving more, so they're going to have more like thermogenic capability of the muscle.
Yeah.
But around like the lower back especially, that area doesn't move a ton, so your body just kind of sticks it there, right? And everybody has like a genetic propensity to store fat differently.
Yeah.
Right? Some people it's more in the belly, some people in the chest, right? We all kind of
gobblers.
Yeah, like the turkey neck or whatever they call it. Yeah.
The turkey neck.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, man. But but yeah, your body's got to do something with it. If you're not going to use it, right? It's going to put it somewhere. So
yeah, right.
Yeah, and I know you're big. We can rabbit hole a little bit on this. You're a big proponent of the cold.
Oh yeah.
Talk about like the cold plunge, man, and how it helps your body to like increase that thermogenesis, obviously, because your body's going to be wanting to warm itself. So you're going to be shivering and it converts into the brown fat, right?
Yeah.
Which is stored most heavily found in babies, right? When babies are born, they have a lot of brown fat tissue, and then over time it goes away and it becomes more of the white fat. But talk about it, man. Talk about like your experience with the cold plunge and
yeah. Dude, perfect like analogy and scenario here because I literally was describing this to my brother-in-law the other day. Of like actively pursuing and putting your body in a state of fight or flight because that like what again it goes back to the acceptance of like what we're putting into our body. So like at birth, right? This child comes out all pink, like your boys, like when they were born, right? All pink. They're like, fight or flight state. And it was just like they had to figure out the world, right? It was being fed by their mother. And it was this like scenario where they're breathing in oxygen now, and like they were getting their pigmentation to their skin, and then through the course of time, it like we feed these kids. Like my kids aren't overweight. We're obviously pretty active. We eat a lot of whole foods. So we eat a lot of fruits and vegetables within our diet and how we cook. We cook with avocado oils, at a low heat threshold and a lot of whole meats and various things. And we can put this in the show notes too. I actually just became an affiliate for where we grow our mushrooms, our farms. I get our meat there now. So cool. All across Central Florida, we get fresh meat, straight from the farm. Farm fat, so solid. Tastes completely different than what I get from Publix factory meat. Yeah. So now going back to cold water therapy, I obviously since January, I started every morning. I get up and I submerge myself into 44, anywhere from 39 to 44 degree water. I bumped it up a little bit. My wife's been doing it with me, which has been amazing. It's been a really cool experience with her. So
like at the same time, you both up in there.
We like meet each other at like 4:45 a.m. and she sits on one side. No, not at all.
She does it later.
She does it later.
Waking up that early. Yeah, she's like,
I'm the only crazy dude waking up at 4:45. So, but what it is that so like what I'll do, and I was telling you, I fully submerge my head. I come up, I go in the parasympathetic, but it when I get out, my body is pink. Dude, it is pink. And it always reminds me, I'm like, you know what I'm doing to my body? It's like rebirthing my body every day. Cool. Because when my kids were coming out, they were all pink and they were in a state of fight or flight with a bunch of brown fat, you know what I mean? Right. That were like figuring things out, breathing in oxygen for the first time. And then you legitimately can do that every day, increase your brown fat content and increase longevity through that. That's a modality. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But the reality is like, then I eat whole foods. I look at what I'm putting into my body from a nutrient source. Yeah. Even going into it a little bit further, we were talking about the meat, right? I after reading this book, Forever Young, and really understanding the phytonutrients and what you're actually eating from a meat source, when you eat meat, you want to eat pretty quality meat because you are getting phytonutrients from that animal that they ate, right? So
you are what you ate, right? That's the truth, man. Like you're going to be built up of
it's wild.
The vitamins, minerals, and stuff that's stored in that meat that you're eating, right? The
Yeah.
same way, like, people are talking organ meat and all this stuff, because those organs are heavy stores of those minerals, right? Like liver's the big one, liver king, that whole phase that went on.
Yeah.
But that's
juice
true,
now,
man.
though, right? He's friggin'.
He got called out. Yeah. His problem, bro, if he would have just said it from the beginning, I was like,
I'm juicing too.
dude's jacked.
Yeah.
Like, just be jacked on roids. Like,
Monster.
you're on roids, you're jacked, that's cool.
I think people.
But if you lie about
guys,
it, then he lied. And so, like, he was trying to put on this front that he wasn't. I've never touched the stuff, he says. Like, it's just funny, man. It's like everyone bought so heavy into this guy, and then it's just like turned out to be kind of a.
You can't get
kind
this
of a
jacked
joke.
eating just liver, dude. It's funny.
But that being said, man, the liver stores a ton of B vitamins, right? It's a filter, but it's heavily laden with those minerals and vitamins. That way, when you eat it, your body actually understands what that is.
Yeah.
Versus like a synthetic B vitamin that was produced in a lab that they tried to mimic natural will never be the same, right?
No.
So like getting it from the source is always better.
Yeah.
Natural, right? Naturally occurring.
Huge through the whole food source. I was actually thinking about this the other day. My buddy and I were talking. He's gotten on a craze. He actually had a health scare, in December, and so he's really gone on this journey of like, man, I got to get myself healthier and through whole food sources. And one thing that they don't realize is that like there's so many ways that you can get these macro and micro nutrients throughout your day to day. And it doesn't necessarily have to be always through like necessarily food too. You get your vitamin D source through indirect sunlight.
That's right. Yeah.
You got to go outside. And if you can go outside in the morning, you can get other sources of vitamins and nutrients just from grounding and putting your feet in the earth, which is a little crunchy. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I like wearing shoes, but so you got to take off your shoes sometimes. There's active swelling. Reduce from an anti-inflammatory standpoint of getting vitamin nutrients is the natural way. Another thing that I was reading and studying up on is that we actually get hydration from foods too. So like it can be up to 40% of our hydration is actually through food.
Especially like fruits, right? Like berries have a ton of water in them. It's like mostly water, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and then getting those vitamin nutrients added onto that is just a benefit, obviously. But yeah.
So cool. And then obviously, like same thing, if you're looking at cruciferous vegetables being like broccoli, eggplant, various things like that. You don't realize it because again, it's another whole food source. But like a lot of that things were largely made up of water. Those things are largely made up of water.
Yeah, there's a reason, right? It's a nice design, right?
Yeah.
For us to be able to just ingest that and then our body knows what to do with it.
Yeah.
Versus when you ingest these frankenfoods that are created in laboratories, right? You put it in, your body's like, I don't know what the hell this is. Right. Try to figure out what to do with this thing. Yeah. Most of it I'm probably just going to like shuttle away. And, or you have to process it and get excrete it.
Yeah.
You wonder why they have gut issues and digestive problems because your body is not sure how to absorb these things.
Yeah.
Right? These just the dyes, the colors, the basically like the poison that's put into a lot of these foods.
Huge.
That being said, man, that was part of what I wanted to in this topic, right? We're talking about like American food, like crisis, epidemic, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It's like the organic versus inorganic stuff, you know, and like how everything is so heavily sprayed with pesticides, right? So the concept is for people who are unaware, you spray pesticides on a crop, the bugs, the whatever, the rodents, they're not going to eat it. Now that crop is there. It's, you know, the farmers, it makes their job easier.
Yep.
Then they till this stuff. They spray other stuff on it to make it shelf stable for a long time. So when by the time it gets to the store, it's not rotten out. It's not, you know, already moldy. Right? You ever buy like organic strawberries? You're like, man, half the box is moldy. Because it's because they're natural, right? They're not meant to sit on a shelf that long. Yeah. You got to get them right away. But this stuff that's been sitting there for weeks, you got to wonder why. Like, why is this food not like decaying already? And it's because it's been sprayed with stuff. Our bodies don't. That's toxic to our bodies, right? So that's, you know, that's a whole other like rabbit hole that would probably be a podcast on its own about like how these pesticides cause neurodegenerative diseases, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, all this kind of stuff, right? Yeah. And so the question I get a lot in my practice, at least, is like what to buy organic and what not. Like, does it matter? Like, how can you trust it? That's tough, man. It's like, how can you trust that this thing that says organic is, right? Because the farm right next door to this farm is inorganic.
Yeah,
so
right.
then the water runoff from the rain is just pulling all that pesticides into the soil of this farm.
Yeah.
So, it's tough, man. You got to really do a little bit of digging, and it's for your own benefit. Obviously, you got to do some research onto where you're getting your food from. But,
yeah, I think I always think of it like layman's terms. All right, coming back home for me, it's I'm not like extremely crazy about like we do get our whole food sources, right? Whole food is kind of like what I focus on,
right.
And then organic versus inorganic, like that's where when you're getting it from a grocery store, like if I'm growing it at my house, there's a controllable there, of course. But the reality of life and the season that I'm in, like with kids and stuff, is that we buy stuff from the grocery store, right?
You got to do the best you can.
You know,
That's it. Yeah.
And then you got to make selections associated to like how. All right, what are the best foods, right? Even though my wife's still gonna buy like some processed stuff, I'm fine with, but we buy an absolute shit ton of fruits and vegetables, and we just mow like throughout the week.
Kids love them though. Kids love fruit.
Oh man, and it's like an awesome, and they're not like super picky eaters. I'm like, if that's the thing, we focus on. Right. Now, what do I do with that? We don't always. I think we do buy some like organic, but what I've been doing, which I actually learned this. I think I learned this from maybe social media, but what I'll do is I'll take lemon juice. And I will put lemon juice and let all the fruits sit in lemon juice. And what lemon juice is, it creates the acidic nature, and then I'll wash them after like it so it removes, maybe not all, but at least it removes some. You know what I mean? Of the pesticides that might be on there that were utilized to actually grow that fruit. Because at the end of the day, I got to respect that if I'm still going to be going to the grocery store, that food's going to be a little bit more aged. Otherwise, I got to start farming in my backyard. Yeah. I got to start something.
How much space you got back there? With that pool and everything. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So just to make it like somewhat easier on us, like I am hyper conscious of that because I know I'm getting maybe a little bit less of the phytonutrients. And I know there's like other options that you can do, but so that's what I do. I don't know. I'm just giving a recommendation there of like just getting some of those pesticides off there, still eating whole food sources. That might not be an option for you. However, we spend a lot of money on our meat. So now we're getting it from a farm, spread oak, and getting shipped to us. So we plan a couple months ahead for what meats we're doing. That's cool. It's all grass fed, obviously no pesticides, but
and
if you want to hear your question answered live on the show, submit it to ask@fullfuel.com. Check out the Optimizers program where we build max muscle, improve longevity, and get guys freaking shredded so that they can crush it at life for as long as possible.
Live full fueled. Live beyond limits, baby.
And like we were talking about, it's kind of goes full circle to the whole topic here is do the best you can with what you got. Right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of my patients come in and they're like, man, financially, I can't just buy all this organic stuff. Like, I just can't do it. It's like, okay, make a better decision then, right? Like make a decision that's better than what you were doing. So like rather than the gummy bears or the gummy stuff and the fake stuff, get inorganic strawberries. It's okay.
Yeah, right.
Like, yes, like organic's better because it's not sprayed. Strawberries are one of the more heavily sprayed things, but you're still doing better than what you were, right? So like make those little 100%. Steps, man. It's like, what can I do to be 10% better? 10%. Do 10% every other week, right? And then like now look a few months down the line, you're like, wow, I have radically changed the way I'm approaching this, and then it becomes lifestyle at that point, right?
Yeah.
That's how I started. That's how you started, right? Like
100%.
I wasn't always. I grew up Italian, big Italian family, man. Pasta and like
just that fettuccine.
Exactly right. Oh man, don't even tell me about that. Right? I'll go off the rails, but it's like how can we make little shifts, to get better each day.
Cool.
Yeah, man.
Well, we're gonna take some questions from the audience, and then what are we gonna be preparing for episode number 2? What's gonna be the topic for episode number 2?
Let's see what we got written down here, man.
Nutrition.
Yeah, so I would love in the next episode, man, to dive into like how to use food as medicine.
Food is medicine.
Into that, and you're gonna be able to really talk about that with your product with the nutritious, because that is, man, that's a functional food, right? So it's basically like the concept is that like all medicine is based on natural stuff, right?
Yep.
Even though it's lab made and synthetic, it's mimicking some natural like compound that our body can respond to, right? And has benefits. So yeah, that'll be the next episode. Episode 2 will be food as medicine, man.
All right, cool. Blake, what questions do we have for complete episode number 1? The easiest way to start eating healthier. You take that one.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I think we kind of just touched on it a little bit, but let's expound a little bit. I think, and we'll bounce back and forth. But the easiest way, in my opinion, man, is to change one thing every week, right? Like we just said, like if you find that and this could be not eating breakfast, right? It could be fasting, which we're going to dive into in this season as well. That'll be an episode in itself. But right, like if every morning you're waking up and you're eating a box of cereal and this processed stuff that's just spiking that blood sugar first thing in the morning, that is stressful on the body. So if you fast instead, right, you're just going to cut that meal out. Now you're going to be probably more in a calorie deficit. Your body's going to have essentially what fasting does is it gives your gut like a reset, makes your gut kind of like calm down. What I use in my practice, man, is a combination of fasting and smoothies, right? So when I have patients doing any kind of nutritional, functional nutrition plan, it's going to be probably a smoothie for breakfast every day. Because what that's doing is, if you're waking up and you're eating a big plate of eggs, bacon, sausage, wow, all that stuff's delicious, right? There's a lot of energy now from your gut to break that down. To digest that food, to absorb it. It takes a lot, right? So then people wonder why they're feeling sluggish towards the end of the day. Like, man, your body diverted a ton of resources to break down that humongous meal you just had. So instead, what I have my patients do is actually make like a really healthy big smoothie, like a 40-ounce smoothie, and just sip on that over like an hour and a half. Yes, it does get warm, right? I always get that question: isn't it warm by the end? It's like, yeah, it'll be a little bit warmer than when you made it, right? But you sip on that over time, it lets your gut slowly kind of process that stuff. Plus, it's blended up and it's liquid form, so it's going to be easier to absorb. What do you think, man? What's a couple tips,
Yeah, I think, for me, my always encouragement, step number 1 is hydration. So, like, you need to look, whether you're eating, you're orally, like whether it's actually like a solid food source or hydration. And I would just focus, like, if you have anything sugary, how do you, like, eliminate that or at least get that down to a very, very small amount?
That's right.
Where you can start incorporating more, obviously, water into your day-to-day. So, like, I would say that's, like, absolutely the first thing you take a look at, because sugars always compound and want you to eat more sugars, right? So, like, then you're going to be going after sugary whole foods or sugary food sources. So I would just focus on hydration first as, like, that starting element to get at least a minimum of 64 ounces of water. What I think is gamification is huge. And so when you buy a water bottle, it has like these has the ounces.
Almost there.
And you're like, almost there. You know what I mean?
Getting there.
And so if you get a 32 ounce water bottle, you drink 2 of them a day. That's like number 1, I think, is a solid way to start out of it. Doesn't even need to be a crazy. We can dive into water too. Water, different fuel sources, definitely. But just drinking water, I think, is step number 1 overall.
I actually got one more and this is one that I tell people as well, is stick to the outside of the grocery store, right? Like if you walk into any grocery store you shop, the inside aisles is all the packaged processed stuff that's shelf stable, right? The outside is going to be your produce, your meats, things that need to be refrigerated, because that's where they have the cold refrigerators, tanks, whatever. So yeah, if you stick to the outside and you mostly buy that stuff, you're going to be doing a lot better. Right? So that's a quick, easy thing.
Boom.
Making small replacements,
Huge. We got one more? What are the most oh yeah, I mean, those are bars for kids. I'll tell you what, I love like a good bar, I'm not gonna lie, but like in one bar that I do promote, and maybe we can give them a sponsor on the show, is RX Bar. Love me some RX bars, but they're pretty basic and you don't have to look, those ones don't have any added sugars. Like, there's literally no BS in those bars. So I actually genuinely enjoy those. But like, these kids bars. I look at the Z bar, the Cliff bars, all these other bars. They're just, you'll see 14, 15 grams of added sugar
Brown rice syrup
in there.
is like the main ingredient.
Like, it's
Yeah.
basically like fructose. I mean,
Right.
so that's one thing I would look out for but like bars, because I think a lot of people just like eat bars and they don't look at what's in it.
Yeah. I think my answer to that question would be like the organic trap, I call it, with like still processed foods, right? Like it's a processed food, but it's labeled organic,
Yeah.
as if that all of a sudden has made that a healthy product, right?
Yeah.
And like the amount of times I hear people, well, I bought the organic Cheerios, they're healthy, right? I'm like, it's still just a grain and sugar,
Yeah.
right? Okay, maybe it's not sprayed, or maybe they're just calling it organic. Who knows at that point?
Yeah.
But that doesn't all of a sudden make it healthy. Whole foods are healthy, right? Whole foods are like what our body biochemically understands, and that's why those RX bars are awesome, man. Because that's all real stuff. Right?
Yeah.
Like that's not a bunch of
Sweetened with dates.
Yeah,
Sea salt.
they're delicious too. I'm about to go get one.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hungry. I think we do.
The chocolate
back
chip,
there.
yeah,
Keep some
it's good.
keep some in the stash. But the other thing that I wanted to add on, that actually happened to me personally. My wife bought me organic granola, and then I looked at it. I'm like, man, this stuff's really good. And I'm like smashing it, organic granola, right?
Yeah.
And I look at it. I thought there was dark chocolate in there. It was not dark chocolate. It was milk chocolate, and there was like 15 grams of like added sugar, cane sugar, organic cane sugar, that were added into it. And then, so I mean, there was a couple. I'm like, this stuff is not good for you.
Right.
No wonder why is because I was just like smashing my mouth with it, not even looking at the bag. So granolas like even are a big thing because I do like granolas, but they do have to be. You got to look at what the added sugar content is because that's going to be the driver back.
That's right. Yeah. And like that was the whole thing is like all these foods that were like touted healthy, right? When we were growing up and stuff, and nowadays people are starting to understand more and more what's not healthy.
Yeah, cool. Well, man, that's a wrap for episode number 1. I thought that was pretty good. And, man, looking forward to a full fueled podcast. We're aiming on the fuel. We're going to have a couple more episodes on the fuel piece. And we're going to talk about next. What was that again? What were we talking about next?
We're going to talk about food as medicine.
Food is medicine, dude. I'm super
I think as always, we want to let our listeners know that please send in questions, man. That's what gives us like material to expound on and be able to answer. If there was anything specifically from this episode that you're like, hey, they touched on this, but maybe I'd like to learn more, we're always going to answer it. So,
love it.
Yeah.
All right, brother.
Awesome, bro. Good chat.
Peace.
Fuel.